So this morning I ended up on Nebraska Talk, and it was a bunch of people crying, why does anybody care about Nebraska? When we voted for Kamala Harris, when I cast my vote for Harris, that was me saying, I care about you, and I want you to survive and thrive.
Someone please go check on Nebraska. Do you guys know what's going on over there?
In Nebraska, frustration is reaching a breaking point. Many Trump voters are facing a harsh reality. Soaring costs, lost jobs, and shattered expectations. The MAGA promise of prosperity has turned into economic pain. In this video, you'll hear real stories from Nebraskans living through the fallout. Listen closely. The truth hits home.
Question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
I don't know if y'all have been keeping up with Nebraska Farmer Talk, but they are getting exactly what they voted for. Nebraskan farmers overwhelmingly supported and voted for Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump who ran a campaign with one of the biggest promises being the deportation of illegal immigrants. Mind you, most of the people who work on their farms are illegal immigrants.
Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, going bankrupt. Nebraska farmers going bankrupt because of Trump's tariffs. They all love to vote for Trump out in Nebraska. Not all, but big majority of them. And look at now. Look what's happening to Nebraska. Going broke because of Trump.
It's not mixed up real well. Well, there's some goodies down there that I share with these class. So you told me this morning when I was in here talking to you that you would drink this water, right? So would you drink it? Yes or no?
Sir, we need to comment.
Oh, you can't answer any questions? No, sir. So my answer would be no. I would not drink.
Nebraska's GDP is down 6%, and farmers are struggling. And Congressman Don Bacon says tariffs aren't helping. Corn is one of the things Nebraska is best known for, but right now, it's a crop that isn't guaranteeing a profit for some farmers. The Nebraska Farm Bureau tracks crop prices. In July 2022, it was selling for more than $7 a bushel. That's now dropped to less than $5. Soybeans went from $16 to $10 in the same time frame. Bacon says tariffs are only exacerbating the issue, and he says it's time for Congress to reclaim its authority over tariff policy.
Why did you cut SNAP and healthcare research?
We do not have unlimited money in the United States.
How can you stand behind this bill that erodes the very services that people like me, my family, our families, and younger vets coming home today rely on to live decent, healthy lives?
I'd like to know how you expect to pay back all of this debt that is going to be layered onto our grandchildren because we're not willing to make our rich part of our society pay their fair share.
We've got Medicare now. We can start rolling back the age 5, 10 years at a time. Would you support that?
We can't afford that.
I want to ask, why does it seem like when you make your voting decisions, they're based on capital rather than the working class? Billionaires and corporations got their tax issues enshrined into law forever, but the working class gets a no tax on tips or overtime that only applies to some of us.
With all due respect, sir, the Republican Party, now more than ever, represents the heart and soul of the working class. You do not get free health care. You do not get free health care.
How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, the governor, Jim Pillen, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem in Nebraska. They had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, they've canceled all the contracts. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers weren't able to work in Nebraska this summer, that those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money. They're going to need help too because they're not getting any money from the contracts anymore. So Nebraska is the first state. And when you look at the Midwest, you're probably looking at Kansas, you're looking at Iowa, South Dakota, all of those places that are large exporters of grains to China and depend on migrant farm labor. They're not going to be able to pay their bills either.
Hi, I live in a blue dot in a very fucking red state, and so incredibly embarrassed by our state and our governor, as if it can't get any more embarrassing. Department of Homeland Security has announced that the detention center in McCook, Nebraska will be called the Cornhusker Clink. Our stupid ass governor.
I'm keeping Nebraskans safe. We're gonna work with the president.
The fucking Cornhusker Clink. I hate it here.
Hey, Nebraska, is this you? Come on up to the front of the classroom. I have some information for you.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So I know that when you elected Donald Trump, you decided to put all of your apprehensions aside and elect a person who was clear about his intentions. He was going to get rid of undocumented immigrants, which would cause your primary industry, the agriculture industry, to go down. Then he decided to do away with the farm subsidies.
Ricketts is going to be running for re-election. I could see, if things don't turn around, I could see the midterms being a bloodbath. I'm as conservative as Dale Long. I'm pro-life, pro-gun. If they're not willing to go to bat for us, it could be different.
As Nebraska's fields begin to open up, the path ahead for the men and women who work them, anything but clear.
We're in the middle of a farm crisis. In addition to high operating costs and low commodity prices, we're also losing our export markets.
There are definitely people that are on the edge.
The Nebraska Farmers Union says the shutdown hurts ag producers in two ways. One, on the personal financial side, it makes cash flow more difficult for those with federal loans. And then on the broader market side, it creates more uncertainty without federal reports.
We're losing $150 an acre. Those are the kind of calls I'm getting. And that's a problem.
Maybe y'all saw the news out of Nebraska today. Our state has, in fact, gone bankrupt. Due to his tariffs and the loss of all of our migrant farm workers, our state has lost over $500 million. It's so bad that Governor Pillen had to call and ask him for a bailout, and we don't know if he's going to give it to us. My husband and I did used to own a farm here in Nebraska, and thanks to the loss of all the workers, we went bankrupt, and bankruptcies in our state overall are at a record high right now. It's still just so weird to me because we all voted red. Nebraska, every county, every district overwhelmingly voted red. And that seems to have been the reason that we're all out of business now. And that just doesn't make that much sense to me. If you vote for a party, shouldn't they protect you? Shouldn't they pass policies that will help you stay out of bankruptcy?
Across small towns and rural communities, once loyal voters are questioning everything. As farms struggle and paychecks shrink, faith in political promises is fading fast. What was once hope has turned into frustration, and for many, a hard look at what went wrong.
All right, step up. I've got another FAFO for a red state that voted for Donald Trump, and this one's a doozy. This employer, they are missing more than half of their work staff due to ICE raids. Production is down 70%, and they do not know how they are going to stay in business. This is the red state of Omaha, Nebraska. Yes, Nebraska voted for Donald Trump. This meat packing plant does not know how it is going to stay in business. The ICE raids go in and take anybody brown. In case you don't know, they take anybody brown. They have no warrants. They wear masks. They go in with force. People get absolutely no due process. They do not go see a judge.
As someone who lives in Nebraska, who works in Nebraska and is from Nebraska, I think it's fucking comical to see white Nebraskans get on this app and have the audacity to ask if anyone cares about Nebraska. Be so fucking for real. Like, I'm sorry, but y'all voted for this shit. Y'all voted for this. So yeah, nobody cares about Nebraska because y'all did it to yourselves. Y'all voted for that crazy orange man, and y'all voted Don Bacon and Deb Fischer back into office. So yeah, none of us really care about Nebraska. And y'all voted for the two worst governors ever, Pete Ricketts and Jim Pillen. The governor, Jim Pillen, who signed an executive order the day after that crazy orange man announced that he was implementing immigration and deportation. Governor Jim Pillen signed an executive order for basically all the state agencies to comply with that. So like, yeah, none of them are going to show up to work. Those cattle ranchers and meat packaging plants, there are no more workers, or will be no more workers because of that. Nobody's going to fucking come to work if you're going to call ICE. Y'all have nobody to blame but yourselves.
I might lose my farm because of the government.
Own the libs. Own the libs. There's so much owning of the libs going on right here.
Our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act.
And who signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law? Was it Joe Biden? Sir, that is socialism. And you are benefiting off of it. Did you post this a few months ago in October?
I'll tell you what I love. I love cows. But if we go with Kamala, you won't have any cows anymore because you're not.
A few moments later.
Our farm payment money, if we don't have that money, we will lose this farm. And the only way that I can think to get around it is we sell some cows. I'm done. I need your help to save my farm and many other farms.
Sir, we already tried to help you save your farm. The saving of the farms happened a few months ago on November 5th. Us on the left, or what is it that you call us, libtards? Us libtards showed up on November 5th and voted so that you could keep benefiting off the Inflation Reduction Act that would have saved your farm. You, Kyle, also showed up on November 5th and voted to preserve something that wasn't your farm. What did you vote to preserve, Kyle? You voted to preserve your white tea supremacy instead of saving your farm. Are you feeling superior right now, Kyle? I want you to get exactly what you voted for, Kyle, and I want you to feel the powerful consequences of your vote.
We're so heavily taxed in the state of Nebraska. It's unbelievable. Our income tax, our property tax, our state tax, the taxes to plate my fucking car, even though they can't fix a pothole here, right? They said that our house, without even seeing it, has gone up like $60,000, $70,000 a year the last couple of years. Do you know what that does to our mortgage? Even with the special session last year, we couldn't get any property tax relief. We, as in the whole state, could not get any property tax relief, but we can certainly go ahead and fund this next concentration camp.
This is my 39th crop. I started in 1986, the year I graduated high school. I could plant an acre of beans in 1986 for $30. It irritates me that you don't have the guts to acknowledge that the people do not pay the tariffs. I don't care if it's John Deere, Case, Caterpillar, all that stuff is outsourced overseas. And the guy that pays it is the guy that purchases it. I can buy a bearing for a combine, and it's made in Taiwan or who knows where. Parts have over doubled in the last year, if you can get them. The dealer at Marshall has a backlog for almost 4 months because they can't get parts because of Trump's stupid tariffs. I think agriculture has taken a heck of a hit on a lot of misinformation, and he is not helping the farmer.
The point of this post is I want to remind everybody that J.D. Vance owns he's invested in a website, it's called Acre Trader, and it is a way for you to partially invest in farmland, and then that farmland is then leased back to the farmer. So they benefit bigly from farmers going bankrupt, defaulting on their mortgages, defaulting on their loans, having to foreclose on their farmland so they can buy it up, pennies on the dollar, and then release it to those farmers and make profit off of that. What I found when I was looking into Acre Trader to remind myself of the details of it, I found out that it is funded by, it's called Naria Capital, and it was founded by J.D. Vance in 2019 with a guy called Colin Greenspan. And the other investors are Peter Thiel, Eric Schmidt, who used to be a Google CEO, Mark Andreessen.
Most people will tell you this is not emergency powers, what he's doing.
And is it hurting your constituents?
Yes, right. We heard just yesterday, we have a company that makes combines. They're moving all of their manufacturing that makes combines for Canada to Europe. Because of the tariffs from going to U.S. to Canada are too high, they can't compete. So they're going to move all the manufacturing for Canadian combines to Europe. That's hundreds of jobs right there. Iowa and Nebraska are really struggling right now with our farm economy. We're not growing markets for corn and soybeans. The president's making trade deals, but not a single country that I can see has bought more corn or soybeans. And that's what we really need right now.
So this morning I ended up on Nebraska Talk, and it was a bunch of people crying, why does anybody care about Nebraska? When we voted for Kamala Harris, when I cast my vote for Harris, that was me saying, I care about you and I want you to survive and thrive. Okay, you knew better than anybody else that your state thrives and survives off of migrants' backs. Okay, and instead of them waiting for ICE to come, they decided to peace out before they could come and get them. I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. This is what you voted for. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, this is exactly what you voted for. And now you're feeling it. What do you want us to do? You want a government handout? That's socialism. You voted against that. No. Sadly, the reality is that you'll probably have to sell a lot of your farms for pennies on the dollar to large corporations and manufacturers. But don't worry, they'll probably let you work there for minimum wage.
Does anybody care about Nebraska? And to that, I respond with two questions. Did Nebraska care about anybody else? And does Nebraska care about Nebraska?
I just got back from Hy-Vee because I had to get a few things to cook with tonight, and it is sickening on how expensive things are. I don't drink pop, and if I do, it's like zero sugar, but I saw a 12-pack of pop is like $9. I was like, are you kidding me? It is absolutely insane on how expensive things are. When is stuff going to go down in price? Like, my God, it shouldn't be this expensive.
What? I'm sorry? $18.29 for coffee? 17? What planet am I on? Jeez. Oh my gosh. $5? Fudge, man. That's insane. And they want damn $10 for my bologna. That is ridiculous, yo. I can't even have a loan.
This store is a little bit.
That is crazy.
It's like
$4.69 for a can of soup. Popcorn's so high.
Okay, y'all. So I came to fill my truck up. My gas light was on. I was like, let me just fill it up. It's the weekend tomorrow. Blah blah.
It cost $70.
Look how much it cost me to fill my truck up. Just a week ago, it would have only cost me about $58 to fill my truck up.
It cost $70.
I don't have a good feeling about this.
Okay, so normally I don't pay attention to gas prices because, like, what I'm gonna do? Walk, you know what I mean? But I'm at the gas station trying to fill up, and damn! $3.49. Have you seen diesel? $4.79. Like, I know it's going up, but like,
on gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days. I know, and that's what ABC says. But the fact is that if you look at the stock market's up, everything's doing really well. And the big thing we have to do is we have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon.
I drive a Nissan Sentra, and I just feel like there's no reason on this planet that it should cost me $40 to fill up my tank. Like, what in the world?
Gas price is $3.30 in what is already an unaffordable economy. Why? Because we decided to go to a war that we don't need and we can't afford. Nobody seems to understand what the objectives are.
So this is the price of gasoline on April 9th.
A lot of Americans are experiencing sticker shock when it comes to the gas pumps lately. According to AAA, the average cost here in Nebraska has gone up over 30 cents in just over a week. And it's not just affecting our wallets, it's also affecting how these gas stations fill their pumps.
And while drivers might see those numbers climbing and wonder why, a Northeast Nebraska gas station owner says it's not because they're trying to take advantage of customers.
Like, it's not price gouging, it's just trying to keep ahead of the market, so we don't lose margin and be selling our product for like making nothing on it.
Matthew Albers says lately the market has been moving quickly and prices can change while trucks are picking up the fuel for the day.
Usually we get our pricing first thing in the morning, so we know that, okay, it's going to cost us X today pulling this product out of the terminal. Well, here lately, they'll be waiting in line at the terminal and the prices will change when they're sitting there. So I'm like, okay, so what am I paying for this today?
Analysts at Gas Buddies say the tensions in Iran around a major oil shipping route is part of what's pushing the prices higher.
The main reason that we are seeing price point increases happens to be with the Strait of Hormuz. And even though America doesn't get hardly any Middle Eastern oil anymore, we are dealing with a globally exchanged product, that being crude oil. So the exchanges are all in a global market.
Globally traded oil means changes in the market can still show up at local pumps, even in...
I believe I read you voted for President Trump all 3 times.
Yes.
And you've been a very vocal supporter of not only conservative values in general and the Republican Party, but you've been a supporter of President Trump until now. So kind of walk us through that and talk about why you oppose this military action.
I've changed my mind on different issues as time goes on and you get new information. I realize that all of this intervention in the Middle East is not benefiting our country. And so when Trump ran on no new wars, and you can go back and listen to several of his speeches where he talks about how terrible our intervention in the Middle East was, and aligned with what I thought, again, the lives lost, the trillions of dollars spent there, I supported that. That was something that I agreed with. And so for him to literally do a 180, I'm just wanting him to do the things that he said he was going to do when he ran for president.
I'm really darn angry. I have heard from so many people in this district that they're angry too. And you know what? You should be, because we have a president who is getting richer and richer by the minute, who is prioritizing his billionaire friends and corporations and oil tycoons over working families. It is maddening when I hear veterans in this town who can't make ends meet. It is maddening when I see seniors at the grocery store bagging groceries because they can't afford their prescription drugs and their rent at the same time. It is maddening when families can't feed their children, can't afford health care, so they're crossing their fingers and they're hoping for the best.
Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, going bankrupt. Nebraska farmers going bankrupt because of Trump's tariffs. They all love to vote for Trump out in Nebraska.
Nebraska, why are you so angry? Is it because you sold out for cheap? Is it because you don't understand how politics and finances work? Are you asking for empathy? But empathy's a sin. It's woke. Certainly you're not asking for some kind of a bailout. That would be socialism. Don't look to Democrats or liberals or leftists to step in. We voted for you.
Nebraska just voted to lower the minimum wage in the state for minors, and the general consensus from Republicans is that it's a good thing because people should actually have to work for their money.
Fun fact, Republicans have had full control of Nebraska since the late 90s. They have a legislature that defies the will of the people. The people in 2022, in a public referendum, approved a minimum wage increase to $15. Just this year, the legislature dropped that for teenagers to $13.50, saying that they wanted to prioritize businesses. Nothing more conservative than profits over people.
Nebraska, a 5-year high in unemployment. That would bring you back around Trump's last year in his first term. If you did not know, Nebraska voted red. Nebraska voted for Republicans and for this administration. This is a little bit of an FAFO for Nebraska. If you didn't know, their farmers are suffering, manufacturing is suffering. A lot of stuff in these rural areas have been affected by Republican policies. So yes, they sort of voted against themselves.
So have y'all seen how Nebraska is like filing for bankruptcy, but the whole state was like red? Like, I really want to understand the logic, because people cannot be this dumb. And I really hate to use the slow word, but they can't be that slow. Like, y'all are literally voting against your own interests, and like, he's a convicted felon. Like, it really has nothing to do with Democrats versus Republicans for me personally. It has everything to do with morals and ethics. Like, wake up, please, for the next election. If there is one, at this rate. You feel me? Wake up.
So, like, what are y'all electric bills looking like this month? Because $300, $400, $500 is out of control. And like everyone's saying, oh, it's winter, your bill's going to be high. Like, yeah, we expect it to be high, but we don't expect it to be $400, $500, $600, $1,000 high. Because why is a delivery charge and a supply charge so expensive? What is the difference? Why can no one explain it to me? And why is the supply charge lower? And then my delivery charge is like $1 million. I don't go outside because I'm paying for electric that I'm not even using when I'm not here. And for everyone saying unplug everything, turn everything off, my kilowatt usage isn't high. It's all the other fees and things that are on the bill. So like if I were using over 1,000, 1,500 kilowatts, I would understand a high bill. But that's not even the case.
From skyrocketing gas prices to rising grocery and utility bills, many say their incomes just aren't keeping up. For some families, it's forcing tough choices about what they can afford and what they have to go without.
Google is proposing a new data center in Nebraska. It could take 3 times the amount of power of Lincoln. To power it, the proposal includes a privately built power plant. That's unique for this state. Nebraska is the country's only public power state. Here, power plants are typically owned by the public utilities. So for this proposal to move forward and connect to the grid, the state law may have to change. This year, the Nebraska governor's office proposed a bill that would allow private developers to build power plants in Nebraska that connect to the grid. 3 of the state's largest public power districts are on board, saying private generation can help meet demand and keep costs down. But State Senator Danielle Conrad, who voted against the bill, told me she's worried it could undermine public power. If the bill becomes law and Google proceeds, the question is, what happens to Nebraska's public power?
In line with the national data center craze, Nebraska might be getting its 4th Google data center soon. In documents obtained by the Flatwater Free Press, the data center is expected to use 1,000 to 3,000 megawatts of power, which could be as much as 3.5 times as much power as Lincoln uses during the height of the summer. And it would make it one of the largest data centers by power usage in the nation. To power it, the plan includes building a privately owned and run natural gas plant, which could make it over twice the size of the largest power plant in Nebraska, which is at just under 1,400 megawatts. Based on land options by one of the involved companies, it looks like the likely location will be in southeast Nebraska. And if you want to know why this could be a bad idea and why citizens across the entire country have stood against data centers in their communities, here's why. For one, although the data centers are very big and do introduce a lot of construction work, they don't add a lot of permanent permanent jobs, because most of the people on site are just there to maintain the system. They are also very loud and running all day and all night. You can imagine the great night to sleep people will have. Combine that with the state's potentially largest natural gas plant, which could cause the price of natural gas to go up, increasing energy costs, while also emitting carbon dioxide and nitrogen into the atmosphere, creating additional smog and climate change. You can imagine the boon this will be on the people around. Not to mention all the water these data centers use in a state that is very affected by drought.
How much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
If you want a live review of the impact of corporate greed in America, you need to look no further than what's happening right now in Lexington, Nebraska.
What happens when a company fires half of a town's workers?
Thousands of Tyson Foods layoffs will take effect today. Nearly 5,000 Tyson Foods workers in Texas and Nebraska are losing their jobs.
We spoke to the plant's workers and local business owners about the ripple effects of one of the biggest factory closures in decades.
Everybody basically that I know works there.
The town is going to be a ghost town. Hearing that news was like hard, because the first thing you think is like, I'm gonna lose my house.
You got 3,000 people looking for work. You can't put everybody to work in these little places that they got around here. What are they going to do?
Some workers blame the plant closure on Tyson's fear of competition with Sustainable Beef, a smaller beef processing plant partially owned by Walmart that opened in a neighboring city.
They don't want to be competing with them with the prices of the cattle.
Competition is basically non-existent in meatpacking, where 4 companies control almost 90% of the market.
We're going to lose this massive plant, and that's going to depress the price that ranchers receive and make beef more expensive. Now, they don't mind because long-term, these packers, they're vertically integrated abroad.
In many cases, it's cheaper to bring beef in from abroad than to raise and slaughter cattle in the U.S.
Tyson and the other big four meat packers use strategic shutdowns so that they can make higher profits.
The meatpacking industry hasn't always worked this way.
By the 1960s, we had an industry where the biggest four meat packers controlled only like 22% of beef production in this country. The result of that really competitive environment was a reindustrialization of rural America that led to, by the 1970s, for the first time in a century, small towns actually growing.
Fast forward to today, and consolidation has created a different picture. The price of beef is roughly 12 times more than it was 50 years ago. Meanwhile, the percentage of that money going to the farmer has decreased dramatically.
When we did have a lot of small companies competing against each other, the meat packers in that market couldn't just like shut down a plant to manipulate the demand for cattle at strategic points. And so they needed those plants to be running in order to bring money in and stay in operation.
Already people here have to work multiple jobs to try to survive.
Right.
So as these jobs go away, how are people going to make?
They're going to struggle. A lot of people are going to struggle.
This is not something that farmers can work around. No one anticipated that we would have a shock to the system. All the experts did not see this coming when we see this rise in fertilizer prices because of this war.
Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody thought that electing Donald Trump to go on a revenge path and do whatever he wants completely unchecked would lead to this. Nobody said anything. Kamala Harris didn't say anything. The people on social media, the liberals, the Democrats, the sensible independents, anybody with more than 2 brain cells didn't see this coming. We all saw this coming. We knew there was going to be a war. We knew there was going to be a conflict. We knew that his idea for tariffs was terrible. We knew that mass deportations was terrible. We knew that everything he was bringing to the table, all of his, well, I haven't thought about that, half-baked plans were terrible. So don't sit here now and say nobody saw this coming, shock to the system out of nowhere. No, he started this war with Iran single-handedly, and we knew he would do something exactly like it. So these farmers want to continue to tell us, we didn't know, we're in pain. All these big farmers are getting the subsidies and the bailouts. We're suffering. We're going to close our family farm.
Nebraska is almost begging corporations to take unfair advantage of our state. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of Republican State Auditor Mike Foley. In the past 4 years, Nebraska has spent $1.2 billion on corporate tax incentives for economic development. However, what many companies appear to be doing is announcing a project in Nebraska, claiming millions of dollars in tax credits, and then uninvesting from Nebraska, but still walking away with millions of dollars in taxpayer money. That is robbery and corruption, and it is what is happening.
Nebraska, we have to talk about the state budget. Last year, the state was in a deficit of $400 million. This year, it's in a deficit of $600 million, and the projections are already that next year it'll top over $800 million in the red. When Nebraska came out of the pandemic, we had a surplus. We had a surplus of $1.9 billion. In just 2 or 3 years' time, now we are bleeding for cash. Now, the governor's office would tell you to ignore your eyes and ignore your ears, and that we're rich, that we don't have to worry about our state budget, that we can just keep raiding savings and that eventually it'll all work out. That is a fiscally irresponsible message. That is the wrong way to manage a budget, and we need something different in the legislature and in leadership in Nebraska. The state legislature decided coming out of the pandemic that it wasn't going to invest in economic growth, it wasn't going to invest in working Nebraskans, but it was going to do a few things. It was going to build a new prison for over $400 million. It was going to work on building a canal out in Colorado, which it's now fighting in the United States Supreme Court. It is going to cut corporate taxes and income taxes for the top earners. The state made its priorities. A budget is a moral document, and it shows where your allegiances lie. In terms of our states, the allegiances of state lawmakers lie with the prison industry. They lie with corporations and making sure that they're able to get off with a new tax break. They don't lie with working Nebraskans. We are now in this budget deficit, and lawmakers are looking around for piles of money and programs that they can cut. So they raided the Veterans Aid Fund. The Veterans Aid Fund is a fund created by the state that helps veterans come back and reassimilate into civilian life. It helps veterans who have PTSD, who are suffering from disabilities due to their service. They went after services for disabled Nebraskans, even disabled kids. They went after the Department of Health and Human Services and our Medicaid funds that ensures the most vulnerable Nebraskans are able to go to the doctor and get the health care that they need. Our state lawmakers have the wrong budget priorities. We need to balance our budget, but that means addressing the structural deficit. That means going back and creating a tax code that's fair, that doesn't overwhelmingly burden working Nebraskans, but asks corporations and the wealthy to pay their fair share.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
Do you care about Nebraska? Because I have a feeling you voted for this. I mean, Nebraskans don't even care about Nebraska. Let me ask you another question. Who exactly did you think were going to work in the fields and in the farms after all of the regular day laborers, people of color, are no longer there anymore? Who did you think was going to do it? Did you think that there was just this army of white workers ready to get into those farms and pick all the vegetables? Now people like you who voted for this to happen are upset that something's affecting you, because what people like you tend to really vote for, it's not the economy. It's because you want to express racism and bigotry, and he was the only way that you could do that. But now it's affecting you. All those farms are disappearing, including that 300-year-old farm. And you want to know why nobody's upset at that? It's because you guys did it to yourself. You'd rather vote to have your racism easily spread across the United States instead of thinking about yourself, because you always vote against your own interests, don't you? And isn't it just like you? You voted to hurt other people, but now when it's starting to hurt you, you want us to feel sympathetic for you.
The stories you've heard today reveal how the cost of living crisis is reshaping everyday life across Nebraska. For many MAGA Trump voters, these financial pressures are raising deeper concerns about stability, leadership, and what the future holds. These voices remind us that economic challenges aren't just numbers, they're deeply personal. If this video gave you a clearer picture of what people are facing in Nebraska, share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to help more people hear these stories. And click the video on your screen to see what's happening in other states across America.